Hi guys, and well whoa. Hi, how are you? How have you been? Where have you been? It's been a very hot minute since I last spoke to you guys, like literally over a year, and I'm sure you can tell by now that the vibe of this video is much different from my usual content. This video is going to be a vulnerable one where I talk about some certain things, basically just a sit down heart to heart from me to you guys. I've also finished my degree. Your girl has a degree now. Honestly, just been doing a lot of learning, and I don't even mean like textbook or academic learning. I mean like learning a lot about life. So why did I stop posting? I know that if you have me like on Snap or Instagram, I was teasing like you guys with some videos, and honestly over the summer I shot like 4 solid YouTube videos. The one of my birthday, like imagine me not dropping my birthday vlog. But the reason I stopped posting is because posting became very overwhelming and like a chore. It didn't feel like something I wanted to do. And then I realized a couple months later that the reason I felt so anxious, so overwhelmed, and so scared, because I actually say that I was scared. I realized that the reason I felt this way towards posting and editing, actually not just posting, editing was even the major problem. If I edited the video, I would have just posted it. The reason I felt this way towards editing was because I realized that I was doing this part of content creation for the wrong reasons. My life was actually quite interesting, so I'm like, why not just film it for you guys? So from that alone, and from obviously knowing myself, I was posting on YouTube because I could, not because I wanted to. To try and explain deeper, I was very anxious about editing because I didn't really have a picture of the kind of content and information I wanted to put out to you guys. I would go out, I wasn't intentional about capturing the content, so I would just capture different types of content, almost all content, and I wouldn't have a clear vision of how I wanted to put it together. So it was just very messy and made me like afraid of editing. Obviously at the time I didn't like analyze it like this. It's now that I know better, that I'm wiser, that I'm able to say, I was able to pinpoint the issue and say, okay, yeah, the reason you don't want to post this thing is because it feels like work, and it feels like work because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it just cause. The fact that I wasn't intentional about content creation was why I stopped. Now that I've recognized this, I have still decided that content creation is something I want to do, and I'm trying to be more intentional about it. Honestly, the learning I've been doing is not even like I've been seeking the knowledge or anything, but like life has just been happening. And I honestly at some point thought that I was having a quarter life crisis because of the kind of distress I was in mentally. But then I realized that it's actually just growing pains. If you don't know what growing pains is, or if you don't have an idea from what I've said, it's basically just when you enter a stage of your life when you're growing, obviously, like it comes with growth. So when you reach a certain stage in your adulthood journey, the beginning stage, where there's a transition from not just being like a kid or a teenager anymore into being a full-fledged adult, and then you come into contact with the realities of life, like the way life actually is, and then you don't necessarily know what to do with it or how to go from there. A definition of growing pains on the internet: temporary difficulties and problems at the beginning of a particular stage of development. Another definition says struggles found in a period of growth in any part of life. So essentially it's just you coming accustomed to the realities of life and not knowing what to do, because obviously you've not seen them before and this is your first time doing life, and it can be scary. It's scary. The whole point of this video is just basically to share some certain things that are important that I've realized and learned. Whether it's so important, I'm surprised that I hadn't even seen, and I still don't see many people talk about it. But then it's such a very important topic because it affects so many people and has such a deep impact on the quality of their lives and the kind of people they turn out to be in the future, which obviously affects everybody in society. It's like so many people telling you, oh, you're young, you have time, relax, don't be too ambitious, calm down, enjoy yourself, go to parties. And then people telling you, oh, you're pursue your dreams, go out, take advantage of opportunities, go for that interview, apply for that job, and then you're caught like, what do I do? Am I young? Am I old? Like, Where am I? People telling you that you should start pursuing your dreams in a timely manner, and then on the other hand, the other people telling you that you're young and you need to relax. So then you're caught in the messy middle and you don't know what to do. Either sink or swim, and I was sinking. It's just a very messy place to be in, especially since at that age we don't really know who we are. Like when you're a child and like primary school, before you start thinking for yourself, a good percentage of your life is spent living under the influence of other people's thoughts and opinions. You don't really think for yourself. The things you know at that age are only the things that your parents or those around you have instilled in you. Then obviously during your teen years, you're pursuing an education and your top priority at the time is to go to school, get good grades, and it's only in that period you start maybe thinking for yourself. But then when you're done with school and then when you're reaching your 20s, this is what they say, 19 is what a scary age it is, and that's basically like the first year of like real life, knowing what real life is. You're not influenced by the ideas or opinions of those around you. You're now tasked with the obligation to set out a path for yourself as an adult. You have to answer questions like, where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? You have to answer questions about a career. These are the questions you have to answer, and then sometimes you realize that you don't even know who you are. There's this post I saw. It said something like, if you like, they play, or something like that, like they play, be 18 years again, something like that. I can't remember. That post, I have a problem with it, and I don't have a problem with just the post. It's not like what they're saying is a lie, but I had a problem with the people that were posting it. I saw probably 3 different people post it, and these people were 19 to 20. They don't need to be posting that. Your 20s are the stage where you learn yourself. Like I said, you've spent your whole life being under the influence of those around you. They're the years where you try things and you fail. They're the years where you realize and capitalize on your strengths and your weaknesses. They're the years where you learn the things you like to do, the things that you can actually see yourself doing in the future. So for you to say, be 18 years again, for me was really just so somehow and sending the wrong message. It's okay. It's very okay if you don't have anything figured out. It's very okay if you don't know what you want to be in the future at 20. It's very okay if you don't know who you are. It's very okay if you don't know where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years. I still don't. And it's just so crazy because they make us choose between, this is such a very important decision that literally alters the trajectory of everybody's life. But at the tender age of 13, 14, they make us choose in Nigeria whether we want to study science or arts. And from there's no going back. So you see, crazy things like this, it's very okay if you're 20 and you don't want to do what you wanted to do when you were 14. So I'm just trying to emphasize that these years are the years for figuring out those things. The only thing different between you and the 18-year-old is the fact that this is not the stage where you realize, okay, I should start making moves towards figuring these things out. Not that you should have done it. It is now the point where you realize I need to start exploring. I need to start digging deeper. I need to find something. Life, you have to cement yourself. You have to. Life isn't supposed to happen to you. You're supposed to happen to life. Don't allow those posts coming from those people. Like if it was a 23 or a 24-year-old posting that would make very much sense. Like if you don't have any idea of where you're going at 24, it's kind of like raising eyebrow. Do you get? But a 20-year-old, come on, don't beat yourself up. It's really not that serious. So yeah, basically, I feel like this is the sweet spot in knowing that yes, I'm young. I'm not supposed to have all these things figured out. But then I have to start thinking about a plan to get there. And I don't mean get to actually the destination, but how to get on the journey. Calm down. These are just some things that I've realized, and I'm not perfect at them, but I've realized them and I'm on the journey towards implementing them in my life. The first one that I want to talk about is self-control and discipline. I feel like nobody really emphasized to me as a child the sheer amount of self-control and discipline that needs to be exercised in order to be a successful individual. And when I say successful, I don't mean successful in the way you think, career-wise. I mean successful a well-adjusted, well-rounded, integrated person, like a level-headed human being. Nobody really talks about the amount of discipline that needs to be exercised in order to be normal and stable as an adult. And this was actually something that I struggled with, and like I said, I don't have it figured out. I still struggle with these things. As somebody who was that child who was naturally smart, like I'm putting air quotes because like, you know what I mean, like, I would be top of my class. I didn't even need to put that much effort. Like there are people that were putting way more effort than I put in school, but it just came to me naturally. Like I would read something once and I would understand it to stick. So that aspect of discipline and hard work with regards to, first of all, academics and then transcended to everything, wasn't really instilled in me as a child. I struggled at some points during my university journey because I realized that I actually lacked discipline. I was doing well in school, which would give the illusion of discipline because obviously academics are the only thing that mattered at the time. But in other things, I realized that you actually have to put conscious effort, dedication, and hard work if you want to achieve any goal in this life. That's something that I'm learning to implement. Anything you want to do, anything, be it short-term goals, long-term goals, you have to exercise self-control. When we think about self-control, we think about it in the light of restraint, of holding back. It was my friend Mimi, we were talking one time in school, and she basically just drew attention to the fact that self-control is not just withholding yourself from doing something, it's also applying yourself to do something. Control over yourself, not just to withhold, but to act. The self-control is not just, okay, I've had too much to eat, control yourself, don't do this. It's also, do this, do that. You want to get good grades, top of your class. It involves identifying that you have to put in this amount of hours at these times if you want to achieve that goal. You want to skip a meal because you're tired, but self-control is realizing, okay, I haven't had anything nourishing today, and if I get really hungry, I'm going to lean towards junk food. So now I have to tell myself to get up and get a meal. So it's not even just about holding back, it's about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do, which I think is synonymous with discipline. And that is something that is essential as an adult. Like I said before, I really do not want to give you the impression that I have self-control or discipline or I have all these things figured out. The difference is that I'm not ignorant to these things anymore. I've identified the need for them and I'm trying to supply that need. Another thing too, you guys, that I've noticed, and it's a very big problem, we overconsume as a generation. That's it. Like, social media is a problem. Our consumption pattern as a generation is not normal. Like, our brains were not made to function that way. Our brains are not made to consume that much without creating. Our brains are naturally expressive. And one thing I've realized is that as a well-functioning adult, you need to cut your social media time. I'm so sorry. Like that doom scrolling. I'm sorry, it is not the best. It's not the best if you have things that you want to do. I don't want to use the words goals and achieve to intimidate you guys or trick you into thinking that this is like a self-motivation, empower, aspire to perspire type thing. It's just basically things that I've learned about adulthood and things that are just true. So if you basically have things that you want to do, spending that amount of time on the internet does not make any sense. Like me, literally, it was a problem. Still is sometimes because I still do have my days, but from morning till night is actually social media. I'll spend my time on Instagram because Instagram is actually my best form of social media. It has the best content I like to consume. Open Instagram, I'll scroll. When I'm tired of Instagram, I'll open TikTok, I'll scroll. When I've watched TikTok, I'll move to Twitter, I'll tweet. After tweeting, I'll go to Snapchat. After Snapchat, I'll watch everybody's story, go back to Instagram. Ha! That does not make any sense. Sometimes when I zoom out and I just step back and observe myself, I'm just like, what are you doing? There's no reason why you should spend this amount of time on the internet watching everybody live their life. So there's a post I saw on Instagram, said that you should create more than you consume, which is essentially, this statement encapsulates every single thing I've said. Now, you should strive to create more than you consume. It leads to progress. Yes, I think that's a better alternative than goals and achievements. Progress is it. Because stagnation is literally where you find yourself not growing. But your age is increasing. You're growing biologically, but not mentally and not socially. So obviously I have my days. Like when I'm talking, I doom scrolled yesterday. In fact, I've ever doom scrolled. Scrolling is so bad that you sit down in the same position for like 2 hours and realize that you've not even moved. Yeah, so like I'm not saying I don't do these things, but I've clocked it. Another vital thing that I learned, I really don't know at what point I learned it or whether I learned it the hard way, I can't remember. Basically, like generally speaking, life is unfair and uncertain, and you have to brace yourself for the fact that you cannot control the way some things pan out and the way people behave. There are going to be circumstances that are well beyond your control, and there's nothing you are going to be able to do about it, and you have to make peace with that fact. People are going to do you dirty even though you did nothing wrong to them, and there's nothing you can do. You just have to learn to make peace with the fact that life happens and move on, because there are many people I feel that get stuck and are not accustomed to this fact, and it can be jarring. But then you really just have to move on from circumstances and from people. The beauty of following God, because when things don't go your way, there's this kind of comfort you find in trusting that God sees the bigger picture, because you don't even know, like maybe that circumstance happened for a reason, and there are a myriad of reasons for which something bad can happen. It could be maybe because it's a stepping stone to something else. Maybe that thing needs to happen for another thing to happen. Or it could be maybe that thing needs to happen to teach you a vital lesson that you're going to need in the future, an important lesson. Or it could be that it happened to teach other people around you a certain lesson that only you could have done. There are so many reasons. So basically trusting in that fact. A couple weeks ago, I ran into this Bible verse, and I'm going to read it out. And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So basically, what you're seeing might usually just be like here. God is seeing it like for the full picture and what it is. So there's basically just this comfort that comes in knowing that, okay, everything will be fine. And then as for people, like we really just have to get ready for the fact that people will be rude to you, people will give you things that you do not deserve, and there's really not much you can do to change them. You're only responsible for your own actions. So the only thing you can decide is how you react to the situation, whether you're going to forgive them and move on, whether you're going to forgive them and continue with the relationship, or whether you're going to cut them off. You're only responsible for your own end. It's terrible, yes, I know that people will do things to you. I'm not saying it's fair and it's good. It is undoubtedly unfair, but that's life. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel bad, please. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings. You should feel bad. But instead of sulking and asking questions like, oh, how could they? Why would they? Why should they? How can they? Like, they did. You just have to ask yourself, what am I going to do about it? So those are like the main tenets of what I want to say to you guys. And honestly, the need to perform can be so crippling, and it did cripple me, because you know all these Instagram and Pinterest posts now that you see, and tips to become your best self in 1 month. Every hot girl, every clean girl should have this morning routine. Everybody this and this. In the morning you wake up by so and so time. Inside that 1 hour you meditate, you prepare healthy breakfast, you work out, you read 10 pages of a book inside 1 morning. It's very, very misleading, and the damage, I think it does more harm than good. Honestly, I've come to a place where I think it does more harm than good, because it literally makes no sense. There's no way you can work out, meditate, prepare a healthy breakfast from scratch, read 10 pages of a book, and still keep your sanity as a student. I beg. Basically, I want you to just be wary of those kinds of things, because it will make you feel as though you're inadequate, as though what you're doing is not enough, as though if you don't do all these things, you're falling behind, I'll be falling behind and failing at life. That was how it made me feel, because I literally wrote down in the morning, I'll read my Bible, I'll work out for 1 hour, I'll go, and after working out, I'll still go for a walk. As a student, come on, please, like, let us be so for real, like BFFR. Like, basically, don't be tricked into feeling like you're not doing enough. You definitely are, especially as a student. The mere situation of being a student, that's enough. Like, nobody's going to tell you this, but university is hard. University is very, very hard. Like, I understand why people drop out, because it's really not for everybody. Like, not everybody is made of that stuff to withstand the kind of stress. Because as a university student, you're expected to do well in your academics, you're expected to have a balanced social life, you're expected to be balanced emotionally, you're expected to have extracurriculars. That's a lot to balance. Okay, so this part of your life is okay if you really don't know who you are. It's just that now is the time to figure it out, and that's it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you do. If you do, well done. Kudos to you. You're very ambitious and dedicated. But like if you don't have a 5-year plan, cool. You don't know what you want to do with your life. Fine. So, so what? It's not that serious. This is just the time that you'll be taking risks. And I just want to leave the final notes by saying that we're at an advantage because we can take risks without consequence at this stage. Without dire consequence. I'm not saying you should go and I'm not saying you should go and do anything, but I'm just saying you can try hobbies, fail at them, realize that you're not into them. You can register for a course and realize, okay, I don't even want to do this field anymore. You can try different things and fall in love with all of them. It's really that point where the world is your oyster. So it's your oyster not to pressure you, but to encourage you. That's just basically it for today, guys. I'm feeling well. I don't know if you noticed that I got a little tired, but I've actually been sick. And the spirit of creating more than I consume, like I've been putting out this YouTube video, and I just told myself, like, come rain, come sunshine, today, regardless of how you feel, you're going to come up here and do this as part of the self-discipline that I'm trying to learn. This channel is going to have more sit-down videos like this. Like I'm going to get a little bit more chatty because I have a lot to say. Like I'm a third daughter, like mad, like I'm literally a third daughter. So from here on out, you're going to be seeing more content like this where I talk to you guys directly or tell you what things are going on. So that is actually it for this video. Thank you for those of you that are still here. If this is your first time, welcome, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for listening. Bye. It's like now the growing pains, but still the growing pains are keeping me up at night. I better go. So